Question 1. A key distinction between Category 2 and Category 3 water damage lies in the appropriate response protocols following contamination. What is the correct first step when encountering suspected Category 3 water intrusion in a residential basement? A. Begin extracting water immediately using a high-capacity pump, focusing on speed of removal. B. Isolate the area, apply antimicrobial treatments, and then extract water. C. Conduct air quality testing before allowing technicians to enter the site. D. Set up drying equipment while awaiting microbial test results. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Category 3 water, black water, contains pathogenic and toxic agents. According to HRConquer 2021 Section 10.8, immediate containment and PPE are critical to avoid cross-contamination and health risks. Antimicrobial pre-treatment before extraction is recommended in heavily contaminated areas. Option B. Ensures safety and containment. Option A. Risks aerosolizing contaminants. Option C is unnecessary for initial response. Option D is premature. Question 2. The prevailing attitude toward HVACR components during water damage restoration emphasizes understanding latent risks. Which component is most likely to retain residual moisture and pose hidden contamination hazards even after surface drying? A. Outdoor condensing unit coil. B. Evaporator pan in the air handler. C. Compressor housing. D. Electrical disconnect box. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The evaporator pan collects condensate and is located in dark, humid spaces. Ideal conditions for microbial growth. According to NACA, ACA, and ICACUS guidelines, such components often require inspection and cleaning or replacement after water damage. Option A is external and dries quickly. Option C is sealed. Option D poses electrical risks but not microbial ones due to low moisture retention. Question 3. Despite the fact that visible moisture may dissipate within hours, structural materials can remain saturated long after. In a two-story home, why might the subfloor above a finished ceiling require aggressive drying methods even when no visible water is present? A. Ceiling cavities create negative pressure that retains water. B. Evaporation from below is typically sufficient. C. Subfloors are hydrophobic and resist water saturation. D. Capillary action causes moisture to bypass the subfloor. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Moisture often becomes trapped in structural cavities due to limited airflow, and negative pressure zones can retain water. ICACUS mandates intrusive inspection of hidden cavities. Subfloors, contrary to option C, are often made of plywood or OSB which absorb and hold moisture. Option D misrepresents capillary behavior. Option B is dangerous and incorrect. Question 4. From a historical standpoint, why has psychrometry become a foundational principle in water damage restoration compared to simple moisture surface readings? A. It allows for estimating insurance value of loss. B. It evaluates air dryness to predict structural failures. C. It enables calculation of vapor pressure differentials essential for evaporation. D. It simplifies equipment maintenance schedules. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Psychrometry measures air's temperature and relative humidity to determine dew point and vapor pressure differentials, the driving force for moisture evaporation. ICACUS emphasizes its use for controlled drying environments. Surface readings alone can mislead due to ambient fluctuations. Option A is not related. Option B is mischaracterization. Option D is irrelevant. Question 5. According to recent studies on moisture migration, which factor most significantly influences lateral movement of water through a masonry foundation wall after flooding? A. Molecular adhesion between water and air. B. Hydrostatic pressure from saturated soil. C. Vapor diffusion through insulated cavities. D. Radiant heat loss from the interior space. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Hydrostatic pressure is the dominant force driving water through porous materials like concrete or masonry during flooding events. Answer. HVACR 2021 and building science research confirm this. Option C pertains to vapor, not liquid water. Option A is not relevant. Option D affects condensation, not lateral migration of water. Question 6. The emerging pattern of microbial growth in damp HVAC ducts has led to changes in post-restoration verification. When should antimicrobial agents be applied within HVAC systems after water damage restoration? A. After verifying that the system is fully dry. B. Only before restoration activities begin. C. During initial assessment to prevent mold release. D. Only when black mold is visually confirmed. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Applying antimicrobial agents before drying risk sealing in moisture and fostering growth. EPA and HRConquer guidelines specify post-drying application for efficacy and safety. Premature application may violate label use conditions FIFRA regulations. Option B is outdated practice. Option C, risks inefficacy. Option D, limits application to visible cases, which is unsafe. Question 7. As illustrated by case studies in commercial buildings, air mover placement is essential in large-scale drying. What is the key reason technicians place air movers at 45-degree angles to the wall during structural drying? A. It reduces noise complaints from building occupants. B. It directs airflow to avoid damaging painted surfaces. C. It enhances airflow across wet surfaces for efficient evaporation. D. It prevents drying overlap that wastes energy. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Placing air movers at 45° to the wall produces turbulent airflow across surfaces, promoting uniform evaporation as recommended by HRConquer. Section 1.2.4.1. Options A and B are not core drying concerns. Option D is incorrect. Overlapping air movement is often necessary in drying chambers. Question 8. The interrelationship between ductwork obstructions and airflow in water-damaged buildings can hinder drying progress. Which of the following best explains how collapsed duct insulation affects the drying operation in a multi-zone HVAC system? A. It improves zone-specific airflow by sealing unnecessary ducts. B. It reduces return air efficiency, increasing relative humidity. C. It traps spores inside, preventing their spread. D. It creates a vapor barrier that accelerates evaporation. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Collapsed or waterlogged insulation restricts airflow and reduces return volume, leading to poor air exchange and elevator itch. This compromises drying and supports microbial growth. As per SMACNA and HRConquer guidance, ducts must be inspected and cleaned repaired post-water intrusion. Option A is false. Option C underestimates contamination risk. Option D misapplies vapor barrier logic. Question 9. The predominant theory suggests that inadequate documentation during the drying process most often leads to A. Equipment theft, B. Insurance denial or reduced claim approval, C. Faster drying time due to reduced paperwork, D. Mold prevention through undocumented methods. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. HRConquer and insurance standards demand consistent monitoring logs and documentation. Gaps or lack of drying verification often result in denied or delayed claims. Documentation must include WDRT, temperature GPP, and moisture levels. Options A, C, and D are inaccurate or illogical and do not reflect industry protocol. Question 10. From a practical standpoint, why is it essential to perform temperature control in a drying zone, especially in humid climates? A. Temperature control prevents microbial adaptation. B. Ensures refrigerant dehumidifiers reach saturation. C. Elevated temperature increases air viscosity, lowering evaporation. D. Temperature control optimizes vapor pressure differentials to support drying. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Vapor pressure differential is the driver of evaporation. Warmer air holds more moisture, increasing the rate of evaporation. HRConquer recommends maintaining elevated, controlled temperatures for faster drying. Option A is speculative. Option B confuses refrigerant dehumidifier operation. Option C misapplies thermodynamic principles. Question 11. The traditional approach to water extraction in commercial spaces has shifted. When performing mitigation in A high-rise office with standing water over carpeting and acoustic tile. What should the technician prioritize before using extraction equipment? A. Removing all tiles to expose the plenum space. B. Applying ozone to deodorize the affected area. C. Activating the central HVAC fan to circulate air. D. De-energizing electrical circuits and verifying structural safety. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Electrical hazards and ceiling collapse risks must be ruled out before mitigation. According to HRConquer and OSHA regulations 29 CFR 1926.416, safety comes first. Ceiling tiles may absorb water and collapse under load, and electrified spaces pose serious injury risk. Options A and B are premature. Option C may spread contaminants and increase hazards. Question 12. The foundation of effective containment relies on pressure differentials. In a water-damaged medical facility, what is the most effective method to prevent cross-contamination when microbial growth is suspected? A. Use of sealed air movers. B. Continuous chemical fogging during remediation. C. Running dehumidifiers in unaffected zones. D. Establishing negative air pressure with HEPA filter exhaust. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Negative pressure containment is the gold standard per HRConquer and CDC guidelines. It draws air from clean to contaminated zones and prevents airborne mold or bacteria from escaping. HEPA filtration ensures contaminants are captured. Option A doesn't provide pressure control. Option B is reactive, not preventative. Option C doesn't create containment. Question 13. The effectiveness of moisture detection tools is critical to drying success. Which of the following best explains why? A non-invasive meter may provide inaccurate readings in a wall with foil-backed insulation. A foil insulation reflects RF signals, giving higher than normal values. B. These tools are calibrated only for concrete. C. Insulation always holds more moisture than studs. D. Metal backing interferes with the sensor's electromagnetic field. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Non-invasive meters, radio frequency or impedance-based, are sensitive to metal. Metal objects like foil can cause false readings as the electromagnetic field is distorted. HRConquer recommends correlating non-invasive and pin-type readings for accuracy. Option A misattributes the technology. Option B is false. These tools work on multiple materials. Option C is irrelevant to the interference issue. Question 14. With the advent of smart sensors, drying strategies have evolved. How should a technician interpret a sharp drop in grain depressure GPP differential during the drying phase? A. The HVAC system has reached equilibrium. B. The wet material has fully dried. C. The refrigerant dehumidifier is in defrost mode. D. Evaporation rate has slowed and drying is plateau. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. A drop in GPP differential indicates a reduced vapor pressure gradient between wet material and air, signaling slower evaporation. HRConquer Section 1.2.3.4 advises reviewing airflow, temperature, and equipment performance at this stage. Option A is misleading. Option B is premature. Option C may momentarily affect GPP, but doesn't explain sustained drops. Question 15. From a practical standpoint, why is it necessary to remove baseboards and drill weep holes in drywall during water mitigation for Category 2 water losses? A. To access wall cavities for accelerated drying. B. To prevent odors from accumulating in corners. C. To install temporary humidity sensors. D. To reduce insurance claim processing time. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Removing baseboards and drilling holes allows for air circulation behind the wall, enhancing drying of the cavity. This is standard per HRConquer. When insulation is in vapor barrier, trapped moisture can lead to microbial growth if unaddressed. Options B and C reflect misunderstanding of procedure. Option D is unrelated to field practice. Question 16. A critical examination of refrigerant dehumidifiers shows varying performance based on environmental factors. What is a key reason refrigerant dehumidifiers may perform poorly in colder ambient conditions below 65 degrees? Their compressors overheat and shut down. B. They draw in more outside air than desiccants. C. They create too much suction in sealed rooms. D. Condensation may freeze on the coils, triggering defrost cycles. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. At low temperatures, water vapor condenses and freezes on the evaporator coil, forcing the unit into defrost and reducing efficiency. HVACR recommends monitoring coil temperature and potentially using desiccants in cooler environments. Option A is incorrect. It cold reduces compressor load. Option B and C mistake unit design. Question 17. Throughout the course of water extraction, how might one explain the presence of moisture in wall cavities even after subfloor drying is verified? A. Capillary action allows water to travel horizontally. B. Vapor transmission from HVAC ducts reintroduces moisture. C. Porous materials absorb water, which migrates vertically into walls. D. Carpet underlayment insulates the wall cavities from airflow. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Porous materials like drywall and insulation absorb water, and due to hygroscopic action, moisture can wick vertically into wall cavities. HRConquer emphasizes verifying cavity drying separately from floor assemblies. Option A applies horizontally, not vertically. Option B is incorrect without a vapor source. Option D impacts floor drying, not walls. Question 18. Illustrated by multiple case studies what is the best reason to isolate HVAC return ducts during structural drying in contaminated environments. A. To prevent cross-contamination of unaffected spaces. B. To increase energy efficiency of dehumidifiers. C. To remove odors from the contaminated zone faster. D. To meet OSHA indoor air standards. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Return ducts can draw contaminated air and distribute it throughout the structure. HRConquer, EPA mold guidelines, and SMACNA protocols recommend sealing returns in containment zones. Option B is not a valid reason. Option C could spread contaminants. Option D misapplies OSHA standards meant for occupational exposure. Question 19. By evaluating antimicrobial application methods, what is the major concern when using fogging in occupied structures post-mitigation? A. Difficulty in sourcing HVACR chemicals. B. Over-dehumidification of finished spaces. C. Increased energy consumption from equipment use. D. Risk of respiratory exposure and chemical sensitivity in occupants. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Fogging aerosolizes chemicals, posing risks to sensitive individuals. EPA mandates following product labels, and many antimicrobials warn against exposure during application. HRConquer and OSHA guidelines advise ventilating and vacating the area. Option A is rarely a problem. Options B and C are irrelevant to health risks. Question 20. From a historical standpoint, why is structural drying often prioritized over aesthetic repair immediately after a Category 1 loss in a residential building? A. Homeowners prefer to keep insurance costs down. B. Repairs must be completed within 48 hours of the loss. C. Appearance matters more to adjusters than actual drying metrics. D. Delaying drying can allow clean water to become grey or black water. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. According to HRConquer and CDC guidelines, untreated clean water can degrade into grey or black within 4-8-7-2 hours, increasing health risks and remediation complexity. Immediate structural drying prevents microbial growth and structural damage. Option A is subjective. Option B misstates policy timelines. Option C misrepresents adjuster priorities. Question 21. In the modern context of HVACR contamination, which situation presents the highest risk of bacterial growth in ductwork after a water loss in a mixed-use facility? A. Low airflow and persistent condensation near evaporator coil. B. Overuse of HEPA filters in return air systems. C. Dehumidifier cycling more than 10 times per hour. D. Lack of UV sterilization in the condenser section. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Condensation and stagnant air allow bacterial colonies to form, especially near evaporator coils. And HRConquer and NACA note that low airflow leads to biofilm accumulation and moisture retention. HEPA filters. B. Do not promote growth. UV light. D. Is preventative but not directly linked. Frequent cycling. C. May affect energy but not bacteria. Question 22. In response to elevated humidity during structural drying, a technician decides to increase the number of air movers but keeps the same number of refrigerant dehumidifiers. What is the most likely unintended consequence of this decision? A. Accelerated drying time with no downsides. B. Increased surface temperature and faster grain depression. C. Better directional airflow throughout the space. D. Oversaturation of ambient air and equipment inefficiency. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. Air movers increase evaporation, releasing more moisture into the air. Without matching dehumidification, RH can rise, reducing efficiency and possibly halting drying. HRConquer emphasizes balance between evaporation and dehumidification. Options A and B are overly optimistic. C describes benefit, not consequence. Question 23. As a result of poor containment, a restoration team reports recurring odors 2 weeks after a black water event was mitigated. Which overlooked factor most likely caused this issue? A. Improper dehumidifier placement during drying. B. Underdosing of chemical deodorants. C. Drywall removal exceeding 6 feet above floor level. D. Porous structural materials retained without complete remediation. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. Retaining porous materials. E.g. OSP, carpet, padding. After Category 3 events violates HRConquer guidelines. These materials trap organic matter and moisture which decay and emit VOx. Option A. Affects drying speed, not odor persistence. B. Masks, not eliminates odors. C. Is not a direct cause. Question 24. Upon closer examination of moisture meter readings, a technician sees erratic values in a wood floor over slab. What is the best explanation for these inconsistencies? A. Moisture gradients caused by slab vapor emission. B. Equipment malfunction due to battery degradation. C. Natural wood expansion in low humidity. D. Differences in wood grain orientation across the planks. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Concrete slabs emit vapor that leads to high moisture below wood surfaces. HRConquer and ASTME recommend slab moisture testing in such scenarios. Pin meters detect variable levels based on slab proximity. Option B would affect all readings. C affects dimensions, not readings. D creates aesthetic variance, not moisture. Question 25. The evolution of antimicrobial usage has introduced safety concerns. What is the most important protocol when applying liquid antimicrobials in confined crawl spaces? A. Applying misting rather than spraying. B. Leaving application to post-drying phase only. C. Using heat to increase effectiveness. D. Ensuring full EPE and mechanical ventilation during use. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. EPA and OSHA require PPE, gloves, a protection, respirators, and air exchange when applying antimicrobials, especially in enclosed areas. Product labels per FIFRO also guide use. Options A, B, and C may be supplementary, but don't mitigate inhalation risks. Question 26. To better understand equipment requirements, a restoration supervisor calculates dehumidifier sizing. What is a critical factor that affect LGR dehumidifier performance in high humidity environments? A. Width of open wall cavities. B. Air mover amperage draw. C. Grain depression relative to ambi GPP. D. Temperature outside the affected structure. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. LGR dehumidifiers are rated by their ability to reduce GPP grains per pound of moisture. Higher grain depression indicates better performance. HRConquer emphasizes psychrometric data and equipment validation. Options A and B are peripheral. D only matters for air infiltration. Question 27. When evaluating the merits of moisture detection tools, what advantage do thermal imaging cameras have over pin-type moisture meters during a post-storm inspection? A. Higher measurement accuracy across materials. B. Faster visual identification of temperature anomalies. C. Resistance to electromagnetic interference. D. Direct quantitative measurement of percent. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Thermal images reveal cold spots and patterns indicating moisture presence. However, they infer and not measure moisture. HRConquer recommends using them as preliminary tools followed by pin-type meters for accuracy. Option A is misleading. C is not relevant. D is only true for pin meters. Question 20. The implications of improper airflow management can be extensive. What is a primary risk of directing air movers directly at contaminated drywall in a Category 3 event? A. Accelerating the drying curve. B. Drying out antimicrobial coatings prematurely. C. Causing micro cracks in gypsum materials. D. Aerosolizing contaminants and spreading them through air. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. HRConquer cautions against applying high-velocity air to contaminated materials, as it may spread pathogens. Negative air containment must precede airflow. Option A is true but irrelevant here. B may happen but is not the primary risk. C is rare under normal drying. Question 29. What would happen if drying goals are declared met without confirming equilibrium moisture content in all structural components? A. Insurance claims would be denied. B. Legal liability shifts to the homeowner. C. The equipment warranty becomes void. D. Materials may reabsorb moisture, leading to failure or mold. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. EMC ensures materials won't reabsorb moisture from humid air. HRConquer requires post-drying verification to confirm EMC relative to unaffected areas. Failing this leads to microbial growth or material degradation. Options A, B, and C are incorrect or not directly linked. Question 30. The core principles of water mitigation dictate early action. Which of the following is the most effective strategy to reduce mold potential after a Category 2 water loss on gypsum drywall? A. Apply biocide immediately upon arrival. B. Wait 48 hours before removal to assess discoloration. C. Dry only from the outside without cavity inspection. D. Remove wetted drywall and initiate cavity drying within 24 hours. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Mold can develop within 24-48 hours in wet drywall. HRConquer recommend early removal and drying of structural cavities. Biocides, they don't remove moisture. Waiting. B. Violates response timelines. C. Risks hidden mold growth.